Here's the good news about punctuation questions on the SAT. There are only 4 decisions you ever have to make. Period, semicolon, comma, colon, dash. It looks like a lot of options, but every single boundaries question comes down to one thing first. Is each side of this gap a complete sentence or not? Answer that, and the punctuation almost picks itself. You'll see 3 or 4 of these per reading and writing module, and they're some of the fastest points on the whole test once you stop trusting your ear and start checking the clauses. Because that's the real trap here. Punctuation that sounds like a pause is not the same as punctuation that's correct. Today we fix that. We'll cover 4 rules that handle every boundaries question, then the 3 traps the SAT recycles to catch you. Then we'll work through 8 real examples, easy to hard, and you'll see the same 4 rules do all the work every time. Here's the whole toolkit, 4 rules. Rule 1, 2 complete sentences need a strong break. A period, a semicolon, or a comma plus a conjunction like and or but. Rule 2, a dependent clause, one that starts with although, because, while, or when, joins the main sentence with a comma, never a semicolon or period. Rule 3, a colon follows a complete sentence and points forward to a list, an example, or an explanation. Rule 4, non-essential information gets a matched pair, 2 commas, 2 dashes, or 2 parentheses, and the 2 ends must match. Let's take them one at a time. Rule 1, 2 complete sentences need a strong break. A complete sentence, an independent clause, is anything that could stand on its own with a period. When you've got 2 of them back to back, a comma alone is too weak to hold them together. You need a period, a semicolon, or a comma teamed up with a conjunction. And, but, so, or, yet. Keep this one in your pocket. It's the rule the test leans on most. And a quick corollary that trips people up. You also never break a single sentence apart where it doesn't split. You don't drop punctuation between a subject and its verb, no matter how long that subject gets. Rule 2, a dependent clause joins with a comma. Some clauses look complete but aren't because a word at the front leaves them hanging. Although, because, while, when, if, since. Say although it rained out loud. You're waiting for the rest, right? That's a dependent clause. It can't take a semicolon or a period because those demand a complete sentence. It attaches to the main clause with a comma, and that's it. Rule 3, a colon follows a complete sentence and introduces. The test for a colon is simple. Cover everything after it. What's left on the left has to be a complete sentence that could end with a period. If it can, the colon is allowed to introduce whatever comes next, a list, a single example, or an explanation. What follows the colon does not have to be a complete sentence. That's the difference between a colon and a semicolon, and it's the whole game on the hard ones. Rule 4, non-essential information gets a matched pair. When you can lift a phrase out of a sentence and the sentence still makes sense, that phrase is non-essential. Extra. You fence it off with a pair, 2 commas, 2 dashes, or 2 parentheses. The key word is matched. If you open with a comma, you close with a comma. Open with a dash, close with a dash. You can't open with one and close with the other. Now the 3 traps. The SAT writes the wrong answers on this type from the same short list, so once you can name them, you can spot them. Trap 1, the comma splice. 2 complete sentences joined with nothing but a comma. It's the single most common punctuation error in English, and the SAT puts it in almost every boundaries question as the tempting natural pause answer. Trap 2, the semicolon used as a comma. A semicolon is not a fancy comma. It demands a complete sentence on both sides. The moment one side is a dependent clause, a phrase, or a list, the semicolon is wrong, no matter how right the pause feels. Trap 3, the unmatched pair. A phrase opened with a comma and closed with a dash, or opened with a dash and never closed at all. Openers and closers have to match. When the interrupting phrase has its own commas inside it, that's your signal to use dashes instead. 8 questions now, easy to hard. Watch how each one is really just the same question. What's on each side of the gap? Answered 4 times over. Let's start easy. The passage, marine biologists once assumed the deep ocean floor was nearly lifeless. Then expeditions to hydrothermal vents found it teeming with tube worms, crabs, and microbes. So check the 2 sides of the gap. Left, marine biologists once assumed that the deep ocean floor was nearly lifeless. That's a complete sentence. Right, expeditions to hydrothermal vents have since revealed dense communities. Also a complete sentence. Two complete sentences. That's rule 1. We need a strong break. A is lifeless, but, a comma plus the conjunction but. That's exactly one of the legal ways to join two sentences, and but even captures the contrast between the old belief and the new discovery. Hold on to this one. B is lifeless, just a comma. Two complete sentences, one little comma. That's the comma splice, trap 1. Out. C is lifeless with no punctuation at all. Now the two sentences fuse into a run-on. Lifeless expeditions have since revealed. Worse, not better. D is lifeless, but. A semicolon already joins two complete sentences all by itself, so stacking but on top of it is redundant and non-standard. Pick one tool, not two. The answer is A. Two complete sentences joined the legal way, comma plus conjunction. Still easy, but now watch the first word. Although the engineers of ancient Rome lacked modern surveying instruments, then a gap, they built aqueducts that ran downhill at a perfect, gentle grade for miles. That opening word, although, is the whole question. It makes the first part a dependent clause. Say it alone and you're left hanging. That's Rule 2 territory. A dependent clause joins with a comma. A is instruments, a semicolon. But Rule 2 and Trap 2 both say no. A semicolon needs a complete sentence on its left, and although the engineer's instruments can't stand alone. Wrong. B is instruments. A period. Same problem. A period would leave, although the engineers of ancient Rome lacked modern surveying instruments, sitting there as a fragment. Incomplete thought. C is instruments, a comma. That's the move. The introductory dependent clause hands off to the main clause with a comma. D is instruments with nothing. The dependent clause crashes straight into the main clause with no signal. The intro has ended. Run on. The answer is C. When a sentence opens with although, because, or while, your hand should reach for the comma automatically. Now medium and a new shape. The Bauhaus, the German school of art and design that first opened its doors in 1919, gap, shaped the look of nearly everything around us. Notice that comma right after the Bauhaus. It opens a description, the German school of art and design that first opened in 1919, that we could lift right out and still have a sentence. The Bauhaus shaped the look of nearly everything. That's non-essential information, so it's Rule 4. It needs a matched pair. We opened with a comma, so we close with a comma. A is 1919, a semicolon. Test the left side. The Bauhaus, the German school, in 1919 is just a subject and its description. No main verb yet. Shaped is still coming. Not a complete sentence, so no semicolon. Trap 2. B is 1919, a comma. That closes the pair we opened, and the sentence reads cleanly. The Bauhaus shaped the look of nearly everything. That's it. C is 1919 with nothing. The description never closes, and the subject runs right into its verb. An opening comma is a promise. You have to keep it. D is 1919 with a dash. We open with a comma, and we're trying to close with a dash. Unmatched pair. That's trap 3. The ends have to match. The answer is B. Find where the extra information starts and close it with the same punctuation that opened it. Medium, and here comes the colon. By the 1890s, the bicycle had reshaped everyday life in ways its inventors had never imagined. Gap. Wider circles of courtship, looser clothing, and a new freedom of movement for women. Run the colon test from Rule 3. Cover everything after the gap. What's left? By the 1890s, the bicycle had reshaped everyday life in ways its inventors had never imagined. That's a complete sentence, and what follows is a list spelling out those ways. Complete sentence, then a list. That's a colon. A is imagined, a semicolon. But a semicolon demands a complete sentence on the right too, and wider circles of courtship, looser clothing, and a new freedom is a list of phrases, not a sentence. Trap 2 again. It loves to show up right where a colon belongs. B is imagined, a comma. Too weak to introduce a summarizing list like this. The items just blur into the sentence with no signal a list is starting. C is imagined with no punctuation. The sentence runs straight into its own list. Nothing tells the reader an explanation is coming. D is imagined, the colon. Complete sentence on the left, list on the right. Exactly what a colon is for. The answer is D. Colon equals here's what I mean. If the left side is a full sentence and the right side explains or lists, that's your colon. Last of the medium ones. And this is the question everyone gets wrong by ear. In laboratory tests, honeybees can be trained to tell one human face from another, gap. They appear to make no use of this talent once they return to the hive. And the choices all involve the word however. First, the two sides. Left, honeybees can be trained to tell one human face from another, complete sentence. Right, they appear to make no use of this talent, complete sentence. Two complete sentences, so rule 1. Now the trick, however, feels like but grammatically it is not a conjunction. It can't join two sentences on its own, so we still need a semicolon between them, with a comma after however. A is another, however, comma before, nothing structural after. That leaves two complete sentences joined by a comma. However, can't rescue it. Comma splice, trap 1. B is another, however, semicolon between the two sentences, comma after the transition word. That's the correct pattern, and it's worth memorizing exactly like that. C is another, however, commas on both sides of however. Tempting, but it still leaves the two complete sentences held together by only a comma. Same splice, just dressed up. D is another, however. No punctuation, run-on plus a floating however. No? The answer is B. Burn this in, however, therefore, moreover, nevertheless. None of them are conjunctions. Two sentences plus one of those words still needs a semicolon. Those were the warm-ups. Now let's see where it gets tricky. Hard now, and this one's long on purpose. The machines Ada Lovelace imagined for Babbage's engine, devices that could weave patterns of numbers, compose original music, and reason through chains of logic. Gap would not actually be built for more than a century. Watch the structure. The real backbone is the machines Ada Lovelace imagined would not be built for more than a century. Everything between the dash and the gap is a non-essential interruption describing the machines. So this is rule 4, and notice two things. 1, it was opened with a dash after engine. 2, that interrupting phrase has commas inside it already. Both point the same way. A is logic, closing with a dash. It matches the dash that opened the interruption. And because the phrase is full of internal commas, the dash is the only thing that clearly marks where the interruption ends. This is the one. B is logic, a comma. Two problems. We opened with a dash, so a comma is an unmatched pair. Trap 3. And a closing comma would just blend into the 3 commas already inside the phrase. The reader loses the boundary entirely. C is logic, a semicolon. Check the left side. The machines Ada Lovelace imagined logic is the subject plus its interruption. The verb would not be built hasn't happened yet. Not a complete sentence. No semicolon. D is logic with nothing. The interruption never closes. It spills straight into the verb. Subject and verb lose each other. The answer is A. When the interrupting phrase carries its own commas, dashes are how you fence it off cleanly, and a dash open means a dash closed. Still hard, and this one is sneaky because the right answer is to do nothing. The long, winding sentences that flow through the novels of Marcel Proust, gap, frequently postpone the main verb until the reader has nearly lost track of the subject. Kind of fitting, given the topic. Here's the move. Find the subject and find its verb. The complete subject is everything from the long winding sentences all the way through Marcel Proust. The verb is postpone. And the corollary to Rule 1 is absolute. You never separate a subject from its verb with a single mark. The subject is just long. That doesn't earn it a comma. A is Proust, a comma right between the subject and its verb. That long subject practically begs for a breath, but grammatically, it's an error. This is the trap the whole question is built on. B is Proust, a semicolon. The left side has no verb yet, so it isn't a complete sentence. Semicolons out. C is Proust, a colon. Same issue. A colon also needs a complete sentence on its left, and we don't have one until the verb shows up. D is Proust with no punctuation. The subject connects directly to its verb, which is exactly what's supposed to happen. The answer is D. When a question tempts you with a comma after a giant subject, read straight past the description to the verb. If the only thing between them is one mark, take it out. The hardest one, and it's a colon versus semicolon showdown. After years of disagreement, the River Commission has finally united behind one overriding objective, gap, to return the channel to its natural seasonal flow before the surrounding wetlands disappear for good. Both parts feel big and balanced, and that's the bait. It makes the semicolon feel right. So run the test instead of trusting the feel. Left side. After years of disagreement, the River Commission has finally united behind one overriding objective. Complete sentence. Right side. To return the channel to its natural seasonal flow. That's an infinitive phrase. It explains the objective, but it can't stand alone. Complete sentence, then an explanation. Rule 3. That's a colon. A is objective, the semicolon, and it's the trap the whole question is built around. It feels balanced. But trap 2 is precise. A semicolon needs a complete sentence on both sides, and to return the channel to its natural flow is a phrase, not a sentence. Wrong. B is objective, a comma. Too weak to introduce this formal explanation, the phrase just dangles off the end like a loose afterthought. C is objective, the colon. Complete sentence on the left, an explanation of the objective on the right. This is the one. D is objective with nothing. No signal that an explanation is coming. The sentence just collides with the phrase. The answer is C. When two parts feel evenly weighted, don't reward the feeling with a semicolon. Check whether the second part is actually a complete sentence. If it isn't, it's a colon. If you can handle that one, you're ready for test day. Screenshot this one. Do, ask first, is each side a complete sentence? Everything follows from that. Do, join two complete sentences with a period, a semicolon, or a comma plus a conjunction. Use a colon only after a complete sentence to introduce a list or explanation. Do, close a non-essential phrase with the same mark you opened it with. Don't, join two complete sentences with only a comma. That's the comma splice. Don't, use a semicolon unless both sides are complete sentences. Don't, drop a comma between a subject and its verb, no matter how long the subject. Key rule, check the clauses, not your ear. Sounds like a pause is not the same as correct. Every boundaries question is the same question wearing a different costume. What's on each side of this gap, a complete sentence or not? Answer that honestly, and the 4 rules do the rest. Stop reading punctuation by sound, start reading it by clause, and these become some of the easiest points on the test. Download the practice PDF in the description. 8 more questions, ordered easy to hard just like these, with a full explanation on every wrong answer so you can see exactly which trap each one is. If this helped, hit subscribe. We're working through every SAT reading and writing question type, one tutorial at a time. And drop a comment telling us which type is giving you the most trouble. We'll bump it up the list. See you on the next one.